What up, world? It's Charles Brown back again with another Talking Facts. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to get notified on all the upcoming episodes. All right, man. Governor, what's my guy's name? I don't want to say it wrong. Ron DeSantis. We all know good old Ron DeSantis. He is promoting legislation called individual freedom. I'm looking at my screen just so I don't misquote before I get this going. The purpose of the bill is to combat the recent spike in critical race theory across the country in wake of George Floyd's death at the hands of a police officer and the countrywide BLM protests that followed, right? One day after Martin Luther King's birthday celebration, right? Ron DeSantis introduced this bill. Oh, man. Introduced by Miami Senator Manny Diaz, the pending individual freedom bill states an individual, by virtue of his or her race or sex, does not bear responsibility for actions committed in the past by other members of the same race or sex. An individual should not be made to feel discomfort, guilt, anguish, and or any other form of physical distress on account of his or her race. And I want to talk about this because the simple fact is, this is what's called whitewashing. They want to make it into a thing where it never happened. And if you do say it happened, it's not our fault and we don't feel guilty anymore. So stop trying to ask us to pay for the sins of our fathers and stop trying to ask us for reparations and stop trying to teach it to our kids because they didn't do anything, so they shouldn't feel guilty. First of all, I got so much to say about this. You shouldn't feel guilty. It's called history. Right? It's called history. Why would you feel guilty about history? If you can explain that part, then everything else makes sense. Because there's so much history out here that you can't just say, I don't want to hear it, and I don't want my kids to hear it because they're going to feel guilty. It's going to cause them anguish to hear how the slaves were beaten and hung from trees by white people just for the sheer fact that their skin color is black. Little Johnny shouldn't even hear about that. What makes these kids so timid? First of all, I laugh at it because they're going to hear about this anyway. It's the most silliest thing. As a matter of fact, I would step back and get out the way. Stop arguing with people about critical race theory. This is the beautiful thing about people like Ron DeSantis and these other people. These kids are going to find out about it anyway. Right? They make a new slave movie every 3 months. There are mad books. The internet is wide open. What have you successfully kept your kids from watching? Be careful before you answer that because you haven't kept them from watching anything. And I mean anything. So let's just start there. People, if you ever have another argument about critical race theory, you're an idiot. Because there is zero chance of them stopping. First of all, critical race theory is, we know that it's only taught in law school, right? It's not taught to elementary kids. So someone who even begins a conversation with teaching our kids about critical race, at that point, you should not even converse with that person. They don't know what they're talking about. Right? So if someone is arguing about critical race theory being taught to kids and that's going to make them feel guilty about, stop it right there. They don't teach it to kids. You got to go to law school. It's taught in law class. You don't teach it to kids nowhere. So if you're saying the basic book, the basic history books that I had that said slavery happened, we freed the slaves, the end, they teach that. So you don't even want them to know basic history, right? Basic history. We can't. Well, we're not going to be able to call them slaves no more. Then if they're not slaves, then what are they? You're going to change the name of that. And by the time it's all done, these are going to be friendly natives that just happens to work for the white people. That's what it's going to end up. So you're going to lie to these kids. So you rather lie to them. So it's burying the past of things that your people did, right? Right, wrong, or indifferent is history. You shouldn't feel guilty. It happened 100 years ago. Not really, but if we're going to say it, it happened, right? But what's laughable is that you can think you can stop it from being told is the problem. It's hilarious. I stopped watching stories on critical race theory because it's like saying you're going to stop porn. It's comedy. It's comedy that you're going to introduce a bill that's going to keep these kids from learning about slavery. We're teaching our kids about it every day. You're never going to stop black kids from hearing about it. It's not going to happen. So guess who's linking up with all the black kids? The white kids. You move more and more out of touch from your own children, trying to shut it down. Malcolm X said Martin Luther King is doing more for white people than he's doing for black people. And he didn't mean it in a derogatory way. He was helping white people save their own country. That's what he was saying. So when you go out and actively make bills and laws to try to stop the knowledge of what actually happened, these kids are going to look at you as failures, as liars, and as idiots. And they're going to move further away from you. You are not going to gain anything with this. You are literally going to fail at this because it's going to make these kids look at you sideways. They're going to be more embarrassed of you right now than what people did back in slavery. They're going to say, Dad, why are you fighting to not tell people about slavery? You're trying to hide slavery, Dad? You think you can hide slavery? Is that what you really think, Dad? That's where it's going. So they think that they're setting it up so they can have this racist utopia where they whitewashed everything and they can just control the narrative. So when they put these archaic restrictions on your voting, it ain't about your color because nothing ever happened bad to you, right? It's a bigger issue. But at the end of the day, you're never going to even try to whitewash it. It's already a lost cause. You're losing your kids in the process. So, critical race theory, you can have it. I'm going to say this because no one else is going to say it. We don't even care. We didn't even know what it was till 2 years ago. And it took me a year to figure out what they were talking about. I kept saying, why? What's CRT? What are they talking about? Why is this hashtag? What is happening? And the only people who are up in arms about it is people who want to keep the narrative that nothing happened. Because they don't want to talk about it. Why would you feel guilty about something that you did not do? We can have the conversation without you feeling like you're on the hot seat. But that's the problem. We don't. I'm gonna say it first, and as time goes on, you're gonna realize we don't care. Right? The people that are gonna fight this are the people who that's their job. They get paid to go out and stomp and fight. And you would never hear me arguing against critical race theory. Never, because first of all, you have to pay to even hear it. And second of all, I'm not going to be arguing with people. If you are in the streets arguing to not teach slavery, that tells me more about you than about the actual act of slavery. It tells me more about you. It is what it is. So if you think that stopping kids from learning that slavery existed and Jim Crow existed is somehow going to work, I got a bridge I can sell you. It is comical that you think these kids are not going to know about that. What's going to happen is they're going to hate you for trying to not tell them. That's what's going to happen. So if that's your goal, good luck. You can't hide stuff from these kids, bro. Any parent knows that. And something like this, you shouldn't hide it because it doesn't make you a better man. It doesn't make them look at you with all this love and respect because now they don't know about slavery. They're going to always know about it. It's never going anywhere. You're going to have to stop every single slave movie from here to the end of time. You're not going to do that. You're going to have to get every single book that was ever written about it. You're not going to do that. Every magazine, they're dropping documentaries every 2 days, another documentary about something, right? They keep coming. They keep the podcast coming. So these kids are going to learn it irregardless of what you do. I find it comical that they're even trying to do this. It makes me chuckle. I'm not mad. I'm not upset. I don't care. Critical race theory would never be a problem. You will never stop actual history. And that's what brings down societies when they try to change history and make it the way they want it. That's the number one killer of a society when they don't know their history. But we know our history. So the kids you're trying to affect are your own. Because you're never going to change what black people teach their kids. You can't mandate it. So have your law, pass them all, spend your time, waste your time, bang your desk, kick your feet up, wham, wham, wham. It doesn't matter to anybody. It doesn't matter. And on that note, let me know what you think in the comments. Do you care? Do you not care? It's whatever. Chuck Wick L, CLBMG. Peace.